show you some Peaky Blinders.
Oh. Yeah.
Alright, guys, welcome to episode 7 of the 102 cast.
Woo!
Yay.
Lucky number 7.
Wow. Alright.
Okay.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Mike.
I'm Steve.
And on today's episode, we have
The Great Outdoors.
Great Outdoors, which I know absolutely nothing about.
It's a John Candy film. It's a comedy. It's a family that goes off for a vacation in, think like when you rent a cabin in the woods, except they're not isolated. It's like right next door to a town. So it's more like you went for a vacation up in the mountains.
Is this a horror movie or a happy movie?
It's a comedy. It's John Candy. That's all he did was comedy films. So you're gonna like it.
It should be. I mean, I've seen some John Candy stuff. Should be pretty good.
I can't think of who
I can't
that is.
place his. I see his face.
He's a larger gentleman that was, if you thought of like Chris Farley, a little bit bigger than that, but same kind of style of just comedy.
Was he in any of the Vacation movies, or was that all? What's his name?
That was all.
I can't remember his name either. Pierce.
Brosnan?
Chris Brosnan. Yeah. Pew, pew,
Pierce
pew.
from Community. Chevy Chase.
Chevy.
Yeah,
That's an easy name to
they're
remember.
all Chevy Chase. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that.
Actually, he's actually pretty nice to meet.
Is he?
Apparently, he's supposed to be a pretty nice dude.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so for anyone new here to the podcast, let me explain what's going down. Here at the 102 cast, we have a giant list of 102 movies, television shows, and anime shows. Each one of us individually has made a list of 17 good and 17 bad titles. We put them all together, and each week we spit out a random one.
Are we going to change the format?
No, I was thinking about that because what's been happening is it hasn't really been favoring me at all lately.
It likes
But-
me. It's my friend.
But if we cut it down to one person each day, it's not exactly
It's not.
102.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to keep it like this. If it becomes more of a problem in the future, then we'll deal with it. But for now, I kind of like the way it's going. I mean, sure, a more structured flow would work a bit better, but we seem to be going pretty well right now.
I'm
so.
getting exposed you guys to some stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I want just as much exposure too.
And who
but-
knows, maybe I'll get next week.
Yeah, very
I'm
true.
crossing my fingers in the air.
Knocking on wood.
Okay, so now we're going to go around, talk about our weeks, what we've watched, whatnot.
Do you want to start? I heard you.
I have a lot.
You said you had a lot, so.
All right, so quick one first for anyone tuning into one of the older ones. When I talked about Lost in Hong Kong, there's a movie I talked about, I think on episode 2. I watched the prequel, sequel, I don't know if this was made before or after, called Lost in Taiwan.
Okay.
It is literally almost exactly the same setup, but somewhere else. Except there's no, like, love plot line.
Is it in Taiwan?
Yeah, it's in Taiwan.
Okay.
This one, Alright, so in the first one, they try to push, like, this whole, like, oh, my life was better with this other woman, but now I'm married to this woman, and I just settled, and, like, I feel stuck and trapped and stuff like that. It was really interesting. In this one, he's going for, like, a business venture. Like, he's trying to sign this one partner, and, like, one of the other guys he worked with, like, followed him to try to get the same thing to, like, one-up him. But this whole time he's struggling with the divorce and, like, he hasn't been there for his kid. And you'd think that'd be the better setup. Like, all the stuff's there to make for a really emotional film, like, even, like, between the comedy. It just kind of falls flat in that regard. Like, yeah, he gets back with his wife, and like it all ended up happy, but like you kind of see that coming. Like any situation that handles with a divorce or like a kid is like, oh, you weren't there for her. Like you always know, like, oh, it's
Right, the
it's gonna be
stereotypical.
lighthearted. The other movie, you didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, was he gonna cheat? Like it's structured in a way where it was like, man, you know what? Maybe cheating on my wife like might be the best thing for me because it showed his life before with this other woman.
Right.
And it was really interesting, like really cool, and they set it up like that was how the movie was going to be, but then they like twisted on you.
Okay.
Anyway,
Do you know if this? Sorry. Do you know if it was made before or after Hong Kong? You're not. You weren't sure.
I'm not sure. I meant to look it up before. I think I knew at a time, but I don't remember. Still a funny movie. If you want to watch a good, funny foreign film, definitely check out Lost in Hong Kong first. And if you like where that was at, check out Lost in Taiwan.
Okay.
Besides that, the other movie, I watched another movie and a full series.
Yeah, I remember you saying
The
that. This
other
weekend.
movie, yeah, I had a weekend where I had to dog sit, so I got a lot of
You got
watching.
good binging, yeah.
I watched the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood movie,
Never seen it.
and like as someone who watched Brotherhood like forever ago,
Mhm.
this was a really good return. Like, I got that same feeling. I got like really hyped for like the characters who I haven't seen in like forever, and it was just like really wow. Dog outside.
That's a really loud dog. Yeah. Crap.
It was just really good. Like I feel like we talked about this before. It's hard to talk about like
Yeah, it's really
good
hard to
movies,
talk about
but
good
like
stuff.
it felt like I was watching the series again. It was like a nice, sizable bit. It's not a movie you can just jump into if you don't know the series.
Okay.
Doesn't really do a good job like teaching you about the world at all. But if you know what it's about and you hop into this movie, oh, A plus, good job. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, so I apologize. But it's the
Sorry.
Brotherhood movie. I think there's only one. And the series I watched was Stranger Things.
Okay.
Did anyone
Gave it
else?
a pretty glowing review.
Did anyone else even watch the first episode?
I haven't watched.
I haven't had
watched it.
time.
We've been waiting to watch it because Caroline's pretty much positive at this point that we're going to like it, and that she's going to have a hard time not watching it.
I
Well, I'm
completely
not around.
empathize with that. I feel like I would have a very hard time starting and stopping. I mean, there was definitely a point where it was like 4 episodes in where I'm like, I need to move. I mean, it was like they're hour-long episodes, but wow. Like, not only the aesthetic of like the 80s and like nerd culture, like ride around on bikes as kids.
Mhm.
It's just they hit so many things like nicely on the mark. And the one that really got it for me was the music. Like you don't really
okay.
hear a lot of 80s synth music, but they knock it out of the park.
I
It
feel
is
like it's making a
so-
bit of a comeback lately.
yeah, lately, but like when usually you see like these 80s movies that try to bring back like the music style, it's usually like rock or like
Yeah.
like
I get that.
and that's fine, like, but you know, it's been done. Here you get like this really deep, moody synth. It's like, what is this? Like almost any time like they broke out like a music number in like the one of the scenes, it was just like, holy shit, like shit's going down. For any of you who might be like, oh, I think it might be too scary. It's really not like that scary. It's more like a scenes will make you uncomfortable. Scenes will like be really high tension. But I think there's maybe 2 jump scares in the whole series.
Is it kind
Okay.
of like the? Did you see It Follows?
No, I didn't.
So that had like a kind of like a
I heard a lot of people compare
overwhelming
it
sense
though.
of dread
Yes,
throughout the entire thing.
there's a lot of mystery too.
That had a lot of the '80s stuff, like the '80s synth in it too. It Follows had a pretty good '80s synth soundtrack.
This movie is a lot like I don't know, like Goonies meets X Files.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's intriguing because I definitely enjoyed the Goonies when I was younger, and X Files I haven't watched a whole heck of a lot, but I've seen some and it's intriguing enough. It keeps you going.
I also thought they were gonna do like more than one plot line, but no, it's just one plot line the whole time.
That's kind of
Okay.
refreshing. I
Yeah,
feel like.
it definitely makes it so they have to make kind of they have to layer it, you know,
Mhm.
like reveals have to be smaller, but like you hold on to them, like oh my god, like I can't believe this got revealed. Like in the grand scheme, it's nothing, but at the time, it's like holy shit. They also do a lot with tropes. One of the main, most interesting characters is a sheriff character, and usually in an '80s movie, like a sheriff character is a bumbling like guy who like gets the clues last
Yeah.
and just kind of like hinders the progress of everybody. This guy's like on top of it and one of the most interesting characters in the whole series. I won't say too much more because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's like listening, stuff like that. Just know it is definitely worth the watch. Definitely just sit down through the first couple episodes. I've heard that like people were watching the first episode and they're not too into it. Like some people don't like the aesthetic, or maybe the mystery's just not there for it.
Mhm.
Watch the first two. I know that's 2 hours of your time, but like just try to
that's
get
just
in
a
there little
movie.
bit.
That's just a movie. It's not too bad.
I watched a bunch of other things, but nothing really worth mentioning. Chinese Zodiac, Jackie Chan movie. I wasn't a fan. Stopped halfway through.
Oh,
Oh, that's
okay.
a shame.
Yeah.
Poor Jackie.
Alright, so I'll pass the baton.
All right. Well, I've had a family member has come up to visit, as I was saying last week, and he just left earlier today to fly back home. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch a whole heck of a lot, but one thing we have watched with the family, especially when everyone was over, it actually kept them all. They were over at my house about an hour and a half longer than they were supposed to be, because they all sat and got involved with it. It's a 3 hour long stint called Nothing But Trailers. All it's on one of the stations, and alls it is trailer after trailer after trailer of upcoming movies, and they're not like the real short ones you would see on TV. These are the extended ones you would see when you're in an actual theater, so you get an actual decent bit away from it, and they categorize it too. It's these are the serious dramas, or these are the comedy films for like the next bit that's coming up, for, like the
Are
next
they
half hour.
real?
Yeah, they're real. Like these are
Okay.
real movies.
And they're not out yet.
Right, they're not.
Okay,
out yet.
here I thought maybe this was like archived or
No,
fake. I
this-
think I would watch a whole movie of fake trailers though. That sounds amazing.
It sounds very
That
interesting.
sounds
We should
good,
get on that. Yeah, but no, it's all the new things that are coming out that haven't even they're not even airing on regular TV. That hey, this movie's gonna be coming out. So it's nothing that's coming out soon. It's stuff. I think the most recent film that will be coming out. Or next in line that was in there was Suicide Squad. The rest of them are nowhere near August releases. And I mean, I want to see Suicide Squad just out of personal interest, and half my family wants to see it as well. But when we watched the whole thing, first off, they announced that there's going to be a John Reacher 2 or whatever it is, the Tom Cruise film.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the first one because it looked retarded. It just I don't know. I'm not also a Tom Cruise fan, but at all.
What was the Keanu Reeves one that everybody liked?
John Wick.
It's supposed to be a
Didn't-
parallel, is what that's supposed.
I
Those
didn't
two.
really like John Wick, but we'll get into that in another
It's supposed
I
to
might
be
just
like
throw it on one of my lists.
a parallel, I think, to that
Wait,
one
you
with
can't throw it on
Keanu
a list.
Reeves.
I've seen it.
That's true. I think we all have.
No, I have not, but
You have.
no. But
But continue.
as we were watching all of these, there was a series in drama that we noticed there is a very large amount of movies dealing with heavy racial issues.
Well, yeah.
There's, from a lot of them go back to when slavery was still around.
The Color Purple too, obviously.
Yes, yes. So there was a lot of those coming out, and there's also one where, what the gentleman that played Harry Potter in the Harry Potter series, I can't remember his name right now.
Right.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe.
That's it, Daniel Radcliffe. He's playing a skinhead, or he's an
Oh,
FBI.
I've seen that trailer.
He's an FBI agent in the white supremacist group, trying to find because they have like a dirty bomb or something.
Yeah.
So he's trying to help them find it, but it's weird seeing him in like a role like that. And I understand that he's trying to take these kinds of roles so he doesn't get bound to Harry Potter for the rest of his life. Like
Right.
the cast of the original Star Wars movies, I don't think almost any of them did anything else besides was it Harrison Ford. I think the rest of them really didn't do much of anything else. Besides, I think they all got stuck. And I
Well,
think he's
Mark
fighting.
Hamill does a great Joker.
Fair. But that's what I mean. There's a lot of them got that stuck, so I think he's really trying to fight away from that. So that's interesting. But I don't know. My whole family noticed it that there was a very large amount of race films coming out, or films involving race coming out. So, but besides that, I really haven't watched a whole heck of a lot of TV or anything new besides some Futurama that I've seen 100 times or South Park. And I mean, this Saturday I went canoeing with the family, and it was like pouring rain as we pull up to the place, and it's as we get changed in our bathing suits and get ready, go in the canoes, it stops. And so we go, they drop us off at wherever because it's an hour and a half trip, and it's like every now and again, like just missed a little bit, but then stop. when we got 5 minutes away from the dock, it started downpouring again on us.
Nice.
So it actually gave us a gap to be kind of dry throughout the whole thing. Although I kind of looked forward to it hosing me the whole time. There was a lot of down trees throughout that whole path, even on there. So I know in our area we've had a lot of down trees from all the weather. It was up there in Pennsylvania. It was in Brandywine. It was around that area. So it's a little bit of a distance for us. It would be a bit of a hike. But it was just very interesting seeing all that stuff. So you had to kind of go around it. But a lot of it's not deep. It's from 6 inches to maybe a couple of feet. There's a couple of sinkholes that'll go up to 6 to 8, they say, but that's really it. There's nothing like super deep or crazy when you do this. But it's fun, Me and the family always have a fun time at that. And that's, in a nutshell. I did go-karting last night.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, Kyle, you were with us. Me and my uncle had done it about a year ago. They had found that place and loved it. Ever since, he's wanted to take me and my brother there. And just to let you guys know, this is a go-kart place that the go-karts go insanely fast. Not like other ones that they go kind of quick, but that's it. These ones, when you're going into a turn, you need to let off the gas or you are going to hit the wall. I was actually drifting at certain points because I was hitting that turn way too quick, so I was sliding. And God forbid you actually hit the brake, it makes you cut so hard you hit the wall. You will hit it. And it's 14 laps, which we did in under 7 minutes. I think my average time was about 22 seconds per lap. So it was very intense. It was a lot of fun, though. I would absolutely go back. I just wish it was a little bit cheaper. However, I think when we did the one race, I think that was a perfect amount. You kind of get in, you get out. I would love to do an all-day stint there. I could.
Oh, God, no. I'd probably get sick.
I could not afford it, though. It is way too expensive for something like that. I still want to convince our boss to make it a team-building exercise for a business venture. I think that would be a lot of fun.
God.
But
You're crazy.
That's just me. Well, yeah, I
Sounds
love
like
that
a
kind of
great way to
stuff.
have
The
a team
adrenaline
building
that hits you even before the race starts, because you have to wear a helmet.
Just a helmet?
Well, they're not going to give you like a neck brace, like it's nothing like that. But
And a
you
head
wear-
sock.
Yeah, you wear a head sock that helps keep the helmets from getting contaminated by you. But then you put on the helmet, and it's a full face helmet. Like the visor goes down and everything. And I was just saying, like, oh, this actually feels really cool. And then they let off on the gas. They enable full blown speed for you. And when they do that, you're not hot anymore from the helmet because the wind is hitting you so quick from how quick you're moving, and you're indoors. You're moving so fast with these electric cars.
Wait, this is all indoors?
Yeah, this is all indoors.
They're electric, and they are so fast. You never hear a gear shift. The whine of the motor just gets louder. I think at my fastest lap of 20 seconds, I hit 1,245 RPM,
Jesus.
which I don't know the size of the wheels. I would need that to kind of convert it into miles per hour. Just know we were flying fast as hell, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much fun. I know you feel a little bit faster because you're so low to the ground, but oh my god, I am going back. I am bringing anyone and everyone that is interested and going and going and going. So, yeah, besides that, that was a lot of fun. For the most part, that's been my week. So,
Did you have a week?
I did have a week.
Oh.
Let's see, what did I do? So this weekend I was up in Utica, New York. Utica.
Try spelling that.
I looked it up because we were curious to know like why when we got there. No offense to anybody from Utica who might be listening.
No, sure.
I doubt it.
All those Uticas.
Population 60,000. I'm sure you guys listen. But when we got there, we were like, why does this town exist? So it was kind of not the greatest place in the world. It looked kind of run down. All the buildings looked like really old prisons, even though probably they were factories or something. And I learned that it is the most populous city named Utica.
there's more cities named Utica.
There are several other Uticas in the world, and this is the one with the most people. But we went up there for an Irish festival, a couple of friends of mine and I. And that was fun. And we climbed a mountain. At the top of the mountain, there was a fire watch tower.
Ooh.
We climbed up to the top of the fire watch tower, which was terrifying, but also awesome. So that was fun. We did that twice because there wasn't a whole lot else to do. So the second day we went back to the Fire Watchtower. And one of those days I showed my friends Hardcore Henry because I had been talking about it.
I still want to see that.
They were interested. They wanted to see what it was like. After watching it again, I can say it's pretty much everything I said last week still stands.
That's good.
Makes no fucking sense. It's really not that great a movie.
Still,
But it's so much fun to watch. It's still so much fun to watch. Besides that, we also watched Love, which is that Netflix series. Judd Apatow, I guess, wrote and directed it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? It's got Gillian Jacobs in it, Britta from Community. She's one of the main characters.
I feel like I saw some posts like that she was going to be in something, but I don't think I know a thing about it.
So it's about these two people in like their early 30s just kind of trying to find love in LA, I guess, is the sort of the idea there. It's got a lot of... I'm always pretty hesitant when I see something by Apatow because I'm not really the biggest fan of his work.
What else did he do?
He's done... Well, the one thing that he's done that I have really liked was Freaks and Geeks. That show.
Yeah.
He did that. And he's done... none of them...
Actually,
nothing
you know
really
what?
comes
You
to
know
mind.
what?
He does a lot of stuff.
I'm going to amend my statement about Stranger Things. It's not like Goonies. More like Stranger Things. I'm sorry.
Stranger Things is a lot like Stranger Things.
You know, Stranger Things is a bit more like Freaks and Geeks because you have like these layers of like high school.
I'd say that's pretty good. It's a pretty good.
Anyway, sorry.
It's a good thing to be like. Well, no, Jed. So I can't think. Nothing's coming to mind. I'm drawing a blank on other things that he's done, like movie-wise, that I just didn't really like.
That's fine.
Bridesmaids. He did Bridesmaids too. Was one of his bigger ones.
Okay.
And yeah, you don't seem excited.
Well, didn't he do Ghostbusters too?
I don't
The other guy who did.
think so. Maybe I'm wrong about. Maybe he just
Who
produced.
wrote Ghostbusters?
He may have produced Bridesmaids.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
But the best like reason for why I don't really like most of his stuff actually came up in... I've also been watching BoJack Horseman, season 3. In the first episode of that, one of the characters, they asked BoJack something. I can't remember what it was. They were like, "How is such and such a thing going?" And BoJack responds, "Oh, it's endless, like the second act of an Apatow movie." And I was like, yeah, that's about why I don't really like it. Just his stuff just drags. Like he'll take a joke and he'll take it to the point where it's not funny anymore. Like it's just kind of awkward because you've been sitting on this joke for too long, and then it becomes funny again. It crosses that threshold. It's funny again, and then he keeps going, and it's not fun. Then it's just there's no coming back from that point. At least for me, I feel like he lingers too long on stuff like that. But Love was actually... We watched the whole thing. We watched the whole series. It was actually pretty good. It's got some of the Apatowisms, like, the kind of vaguely unattractive, nerdy Jewish guy somehow manages to get the hot blonde chick. It's like a little bit...
What are you implying? I said, what are you implying?
I mean, come on. The thing is that happens in so many of his work. Like, it's always... The guy's always kind of weird and nerdy and, like, not really that great looking, like, kind of berry looking, and the girl's always really hot. And somehow they work. But it was good. It deals with a lot of, like, relationship stuff and just people having difficulty kind of, like, connecting. Like, the guy somehow... Even like unbeknownst to him, he just sort of becomes like really popular with women all of a sudden, and he struggles with that because this is new to him, and he kind of turns into like a bit of an asshole because of it.
Right.
And he just sort of tanks his relationships because he thinks, "Oh, I'm hot stuff now," and just sort of fucks a lot of stuff up because of it.
Okay. I think I'm getting an idea for it.
And meanwhile, Gillian Jacobs' character is, she's the attractive girl,
Literally Hitler.
who always has trouble with relationships, dating like assholes and people who take her for granted, and now she wants to find someone who's going to be real and nice and stuff like that. Um, that was fun. That's pretty much what I've been watching.
If-
Just those two. I would recommend Love. I would say.
Okay. I was going to say, one thing I forgot to append into my week. On Sunday, we had played a board game my brother had bought called Tempura. And the point of the game...
The food?
Yeah, except it's got a purra because it's like cats are like all on the cards and whatnot.
Okay.
The point is you're supposed to get as many cards in your hand as possible when the game ends to win. And the whole point is you're supposed to be eating. So each card has like different food on it and whatnot. And it starts out, say the main card on the table was a 7. If I have a 7 in my hand, I can just put down a 7 and not have to pick anything up. Or I can choose to pick up 7 cards if that's the one that's there. And then if I put a 7 down, the next guy has to pick up 14 cards. So it gets bigger than what they have to pick up. The risk is there's a specific card in there that if you get that one, it's like an indigestion card or whatever they call it. You have to, everything you just pick up, you have to put back, and you get a token. First person to get 3 of those tokens loses, and then those among who have the least either wins, or if there's a tie, you count who has the most cards, and that's who wins.
Gotcha. Okay.
As that card starts getting picked up, someone gets it, another one gets added into the deck. So now there's 2.
Jeez. Okay.
So as you start going on, after a little bit, there's 6. And everyone's already got cards in their hands, so the pile's getting smaller. So the odds of you pulling these out when someone starts you off with a 7, there were points where I said if you pick up that 7, you're going to pick up 2 of them. So the odds got really against it. So it was fun. There was 6 of us playing at the same time.
That sounds cool.
It was a good family game. So I just wanted to kind of pen that in there before I forgot.
Sounds like something I should add to my collection.
Steve is
Steve,
very
you
much
would love
the
it.
To
board game
my
aficionado.
collection of games that
You would like
I
it,
never
Steve.
play with anymore.
Yeah, I think.
Actually, I don't know why that reminded me of. There was one other big thing that I came up this week. So we all know Hayao Miyazaki.
Of
Yeah.
course.
We're all familiar with his stuff. I think I'm probably going to mangle the shit out of this story. I probably have all of my facts wrong, but I think it's approximately
Feel
right.
free to email Steve.
Yeah, feel free to send us an email correcting me and all the shit that I say. I was right about Cliff's Notes, though, last week.
Really?
I looked it up this morning. I was actually right. It is Cliff's Notes, not Cliff Notes. But anyway, so I want to say it was the first movie that Miyazaki kind of let an American company dub and edit. And he let them make cuts and edits to it, I guess, assuming that they were going to be fine with it. And what happened was, so the movie in question was Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which is a really great movie of his. But when it got stateside, they mangled the shit out of it. And they changed the names of a lot of the characters. They edited the script of it. They recut it. They cut out like the entire opening sequence. They did all this stuff to it. They renamed the title even. They called it Warriors of the Wind. And on the cover of this, on like the posters and everything, they didn't even feature Nausicaa, the main character of the entire movie. They had people that were characters that were in the movie for like 5 minutes as on the poster. So naturally, it did horribly. It tanked totally and completely. And ever since then, he sold, I guess, another movie to be dubbed in America. They wanted to change it, and in response, he just sent a katana with a note that said "no cuts." And from that point forward, he never let anybody touch his stuff after that. If you were gonna dub it, you just dubbed it. That was it. You took the script and you dubbed it. You couldn't make any edits to it. The movie's pretty rare because it did so poorly. It came out in like '89, went straight to VHS, and then that's it.
Are you about to end the story with you saw it?
I got it.
What?
I found it, and I managed to get a copy of it. I haven't watched it yet. I kind of like skimmed through it just to sort of check the quality of it. It looks atrocious.
Can we put this on your bad list?
Oh, it's been on my bad list. I just
Okay.
called it like the American cut version of Nausicaa because I couldn't remember the name of it. But now that I actually have a copy of it, it's the second I have an opening, it's going right there.
Question, Steve, is since this was a really bad cut of what his work was, obviously there would be a good cut in
Yes.
Japanese still. Have they made an American cut that is not a butchering of the film?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's like,
They
I'm
did
pretty sure
revisit.
I've seen that movie dubbed.
Yeah, they did revisit Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, and they dubbed it as is. They didn't change it. They didn't do
Okay.
anything.
Okay, I
Just-
want to make sure because I don't think that's one that I've seen. So.
That's what that poster is actually up in the right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't believe I've seen that then. All right, that's what to kind of make sure, because of course we butchered something as it gets brought over to us.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, naturally.
America.
Whee!
All right, so I guess we're gonna get rolling into our title for the. I forget the title.
The Great
The
Outdoors.
Great
The
Outdoors.
Great Outdoors. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it before we hop in?
Well, what I said in the beginning kind of still sticks about what I want to give away now. It's John Candy and his family all go away to a log cabin up in the mountains, and just shenanigans kind of ensues. It's a good comedy film. It's a good laugh. Like, we're gonna be laughing. This is a complete redemption from Queen of Blood, where we want to kill
I hope
ourselves. This
You really got to prove yourself this week.
I know, and that's why I'm happy it was this one, because it's a comedy. We can just sit back, laugh, and have an easy time. So it's good. There's a lot of good moments in it. We're gonna have fun.
All right, we'll catch you guys after the movie.
Aw, yeah, bye-bye. See you in a little bit.
This is Chet.
You remember me, Chet Ripley?
How you doing? This is his family.
You can run around here naked as a bear and not worry about running into anybody.
This is Roman.
What a gas.
This is his family.
I'm waiting for the heads to rotate around and vomit pea soup.
They're about to spend 1 week together in the great outdoors.
We weren't invited.
They'll be tickled to death to see us.
Who invited him anyway?
But this is no holiday.
The man is an ass.
This is war.
All right, guys. Well, we're back from The Great Outdoors,
Yeah.
a John Candy film.
Yes.
John Candy,
And Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Yo,
Annette Bening? Out of nowhere? Annette Bening.
I'm not sure who that is.
She's
Who
been in
was he?
stuff. She was
Oh,
she was
she's the actress, the
she
wife.
was Dan
Candy's wife?
Aykroyd's.
Oh,
Aykroyd's wife.
she didn't have many lines, surprisingly.
Yeah, this is more of a just a kind of a background support character in this particular film.
She was super annoying.
Oh yeah.
Every time she did talk, I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Unless she's supporting
she's
her
supposed to,
obnoxious
yeah.
husband,
Right.
who's Dan Aykroyd in the film.
Okay, so Steve, I always seem to start these off. Why don't you go?
That's fair. I liked it. It's like we're gonna bump into that hard place. The thing that jumps out the most to me is like something I really liked was the cutaways. The like random ass like just all of a sudden it's just the guy who's been struck by lightning 66 times looks up. And it's like we weren't even in the woods before. It's just all of a sudden we're focused on this guy. But it works because he, like, as soon as I saw his face, I was like, oh, it's gonna rain really bad.
Yeah.
They've done a good
Like
job.
they did a
letting you
good
know.
job, like establishing that. Okay, if you see this guy, like something's gonna happen. I really like that. I liked the cutaways. I thought that was good. I don't know. I just feel like it was like a very. I don't want to say typical. It wasn't typical. It wasn't terribly typical, but it's what I expected. I think from a John Candy, a 1980s John Candy movie,
Okay.
which isn't anything bad. It's good. Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it.
Do you have like a favorite scene in particular?
Favorite scene. I don't know. Probably when they meet the guy who's been struck by lightning 66 times.
Yeah, at the bar.
And yeah, at the bar, and they're talking to him about, or not really talking to him about. They ask him how many times he's been struck by lightning, and he's got a lot of trouble acting it out. Meanwhile, Dan Aykroyd's there being a fucking asshole about the whole fucking thing. He was pretty good in it. He was so unlikable which is a good thing for that character who was supposed to be really unlikable. I thought they did a great job with that, him especially. What about you, Kyle? Do you have a favorite scene?
I gotta say, scenes I see coming, like I feel like I put a lot more focus on. I guess the jet ski one. You see, John,
You know that's gonna happen.
you
as
see
soon as
John
it
Candy's
happens.
wearing the jet ski and he's showing his kid how to jet ski and like he's passing off the reins here and there and you're like, oh, you know it's gonna happen. And then they executed that really well. Like you obviously see a stunt double here and there, but like there's a lot of action in that. Like that's a live boat moving around with the line and people are ducking out of the way and like that. Like not only funny but like pretty
Involved.
ambitious
Yeah,
for a comedy
yeah.
to make like a big physical gag like that and not even be like a huge part in the movie. Like it was a pretty throwaway part, like almost forgettable, I'd say. But like, wow, good
Yeah,
amount of work went into that shot.
That was like towards the beginning. Of the film.
Yeah, right.
I feel like there were a lot of things like that. There were a lot of like stuff happens. Like here's the joke, and then okay, now we're gonna move on. Like the one I just remembered, the leech scene.
Yeah, we all get
Just kind of
totally
out
just-
of nowhere.
Oh, I feel like I should say I'm about like I wouldn't say like I love this movie. I'm like an even like okay-ish. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it did make me laugh, but it did have its problems here and there.
Okay. Highlight some of those.
Yeah, that's. I'm about to go some of the parts. The raccoons weren't funny.
Okay, so you didn't like the raccoons.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got really confused. Like it seemed like a very forced like joke type thing, and I don't know. Like the subtitles cut up the comedy a bit. Like yeah, it was a good way to transition into night scenes where things are a bit slower and not as active, but at the same time, it just wasn't funny. Like they'd reuse the hot dog
How those
joke.
being made of lips and assholes.
And-
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that, and they did it 3 times.
Yeah, I kind of liked it the first time.
Yeah,
Oh,
And they made
the
comments about
raccoons
how
just
like
general
yeah.
it's,
The raccoons came up 3 times, and I was like, okay, like I get what you're trying to do here, but please stop. Another thing I really didn't like, even though they feel like they did an okay job with it, it just didn't seem to fit in.
Mhm.
The romance of the older child. The
Oh,
older
yeah.
kid.
Right, we go.
Yeah, meeting the local girl, and they're like, oh, but we're not going to be around forever. Like, you leave in 3 days, but, like, let's make out here and there. It's like,
Yeah, it was kind of
not
bizarre.
only does it feel like a forced thing in the movie,
Mhm.
you know it's pointless. They're not going to see each other in another 3 days. Why even bother? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It'd be one thing if it was like, oh, we're gonna be up here for the month, but
yeah.
a couple
I mean,
days.
Well, it's like
Seems a little much.
like you're saying, it's kind of throwaway because she's talking about how she's never had a relationship that lasts longer than 2 weeks.
I mean, she was a very
Now.
interesting character. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
absolutely. But
But-
like you said, it's kind of a pointless
Yeah, I mean,
romance off to the side.
if you're gonna have a character that's like teenage and it's the 80s, like that's kind of the thing to do. But at the same time, like you maybe only saw the relationship between like him and his brother twice, and I thought it was actually really interesting. Usually you get that setup. It's like, oh, I hate you, stupid younger brother, doing all the stupid stuff. No, they actually genuinely liked each other, and there was some comedy between them. I'd like to see a couple more scenes with them.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they really focused on the parents.
Yeah, like in the beginning when they're like, I feel like there's an alien watching us and it's the 2 other kids like being
Yeah.
all spooky. Like that was great. Like they should roll with that. But
Right.
eh.
Well, it's a lot of movies run with a sideline romance that's completely unnecessary. I mean, look at Pacific Rim. That was completely unnecessary to have any romance or to let me even get to know the characters. I didn't need to. That's not why I was there. I was there to watch giant robots fight giant monsters. End of story. I didn't want anything else in it. And in this movie, I agree where the side romance thing was pretty pointless and I kind of wish it wasn't in there. This isn't my favorite movie of all time, but it's one of the ones I do like. It's definitely it's a higher film. That's why it's on my like list. I like John Candy. I like a lot of the films he does. They're funny, and it's something that you can have around the family. Like there's nothing trashy or garbage about
Oh
it.
yeah,
So,
I
like,
could definitely see this being like a group movie.
Yeah, this is something I can watch with my cousins that are younger, and everyone's a-okay, and it's just funny. Like when he shoots the bear, and they did the buckshot, and like they do, it's obviously a bear does not have a butt like that at all,
Right.
but like because it blows off his fur right there, and it's just those little things that I think is hysterical. That's why I kind of like the movie a whole bunch. It's a good family film, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like to that point, it's almost like a lot of stuff was done to sort of make it more accessible, or to appeal to a wider audience. Like the inclusion of the romance, because the teens got to do something.
True.
When you really think about it, the teen
They could have gone.
they could have done.
adventuring.
Yeah, they could have gone a better direction. I definitely
I mean,
agree.
it didn't have to be. He could
Right.
befriend locals. It didn't have
Yeah.
to be like this. Like, oh, well, they want that late for my date.
Yeah.
right. But when he ate that 96-pound steak, and all that's left is the fat and gristle, he's like, yeah, he ain't done yet. It's like, oh god.
I will say though, that movie had really good pacing. Like, I never really felt bored during
Yeah.
any of the scenes. Like, it was always very engaging. Like, if a jokes like went on just long enough, except for, like I said, the raccoon
Yeah, the
one was a
raccoon.
bit, but that was the only one that really repeated. All the other ones, like, they had new stuff, new setups, and they had it at a lot of different locations. Like, they did a really good job making this campground town like feel really alive. Like, in the romance scenes, like when they had the carnival full of people, or the one-stop mall like place, like the strip mall, like even that like
Oh,
looked
yeah,
bustling,
yeah,
and
yeah.
strip malls never look bustling. Like I
Yeah.
thought that when I was looking at it, I'm like, all right, they're trying to show like this is a happening town, I'm
Yeah, it
down.
wasn't like just the actors that kind of exclusively
Yeah,
in the
and
middle of nowhere.
the campground didn't look barren either. Like you had like other people there a lot too.
Like
And
you'd
that was
figure
pretty
you
good.
would see in a bustling area, like they actually portrayed it properly rather.
Because I feel like anytime I watch one of these camping movies or something like that, it's always like them alone. It's like, oh, I love the seclusion. It's like, no, you're not going to be secluded on a campground like that. It's going to be
Yeah, there's
50
gonna be
other
lots of
families
people.
within like a square mile of you.
It's, I think for the most part that's the film. Like there's a lot of good stuff. It's a good family film. It's got good pacing. You're never really bored. But it's not something that is gonna stand far out in the crowd, but it's gonna be just enough where it's a good family film. So it's not gonna be like you're not gonna wanna maybe watch this 100 times. Some maybe watch it once in a blue moon.
I definitely recommend this for like a family gathering. Like you have some family over. Like this is definitely one of those that like almost cuts the tension because yeah, you're gonna get into fights with family. That's family. That's how it works. And
Yeah.
like I don't know, kind of like shows good morals, I guess.
Yeah, like we said, it's friendly for all audiences. So this would be. I think I have watched this with a lot of family members. To be honest,
I'd be interested to. Like, I will definitely put this on a list if I'm like at that point. We're like, all right, we already all ate. What do we do now? I'm like, yeah, I know a good movie.
well, I'm
I feel
glad.
I feel like in a lot of those situations, you would reach for like a nice classic '80s comedy.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't really put. I can't think of something. What's something
Hey, let's watch
recent?
Game of
that you-
Thrones, guys.
Yeah, like what are you gonna throw on the TV when you're at like a family reunion or something? Where
Yeah,
it's,
no.
you're not gonna watch fucking Inception or something like that. Like, you're gonna put something on like Caddyshack.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Oh, I
put,
love
or,
Caddyshack.
or The Great Outdoors. Why not? Like, so I feel like for that kind of like class of movie, it was pretty damn decent.
Oh, I'm happy to hear you guys say that because it's kind of redemption from Queen of Blood that we all went to die. So this was a good.
I don't know. I've seen worse than Queen of Blood.
True.
I've seen much worse.
Well, I mean,
It was
for
pretty
us,
bad,
it's
but I've seen much
But yeah.
worse.
more of a self redemption on my end at that point. But yeah, it's a good time. So all
So you say you
listening-
still enjoyed it, like even after going
Oh,
back to it?
yeah, like I for some reason I think the lips and assholes joke is funny. I think that's because it's something that after having watched it once, I've watched it with my father a couple of times, and he's made that joke when we're just kind of like hanging out. So we'll just be hanging out every now and again when we're talking about if hot dogs ever come up, he'll make that little joke. So I guess that's something like, since my dad always mentions it here and it, like that part doesn't bother me as much,
Right.
the raccoons. And I enjoyed it like, this time around again. I mean, it's been a while, so it's not like I watched it last week and now I'm watching it again. It's been some time, but just been enjoying it.
So, like, have you watched? You said you watched this with your family before?
Yeah, I think I watched this with my house. So like my brother, sister, mom, and dad, and then I think I've also watched this with relatives over. So I believe I've had like quite a crowd I have watched this film with because this is my first or second. I shouldn't say it's like not my like, second or third time seeing it. This is a little bit more. Than
Oh wow!
I've seen
Okay.
but
Sometimes you weren't bored.
this has been over a long period of time though. This is this is probably the fourth time seeing this film, fourth or fifth, and that's over a time period of 10, 12 years. So it's never close together at all. But I think that's a good spacing for it too. You're not gonna want to go watch this in a couple of weeks. But like you said, it's something good if you're all families all together. Like, hey guys, I know something to kind of pop in.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, one thing I will say, kind of to its credit, there's definitely parts that were like super predictable. Like we were even calling out, like, "Oh, I bet I know what's going to happen next," and then it happens. But usually, when I watch a movie like that, that's that predictable. I'm like, like then when you predict something and then it happens, you're like,
I don't know.
yeah.
You see,
I typically don't. I personally typically don't like that. But with this one, I actually really like. It would happen and be like, yeah, they did it. Yeah, I knew I was right.
there was a video I was watching the other day. I think it was actually Nostalgia Critic just put one out recently. It's like, why aren't extremely good movies that good sometimes? And he made this argument where sometimes predictability actually kind of helps.
Mm-hmm.
Like even movies that are like great, like we were just talking about Inception. Like sometimes there are certain parts in that you could call, and that kind of, I feel like it makes you put yourself in the mind of the director a little bit. Like you can relate to the movie more because you can kind of predict it a little bit.
You're in that familiar ground.
Yeah, it keeps you more engaged than it would if you were like lost the whole time. Like sure, I love movies where I'm lost the whole time, and like those are some of my favorite movies. I love a good mystery. But at the same time, you need some familiarity when you're lost too much because sometimes you get too lost, sometimes you start to lose interest, and that I feel like there's some series I've lost because of that. Like, I kind of stopped watching because I wasn't too interested.
That's Futurama actually touches on that exactly when they're playing, when they have to reenact an episode from Sexy Lawyer or whatever it was.
Sexy
that.
Female.
And they're talking about something that's clever makes people feel dumb. If it's unexpected, it makes them feel scared. And then, when they call and say that's exactly how they feel from what they just did, that was those. It kind of, I think, hits on that because that's kind of a truth to an extent. Like, if you're too out there, people get a little too nervous and they pull away from the movie and they get taken out of being there in it.
I found that really interesting.
If you're too predictable, that's
that is a very big problem.
You've got to be a good mix of predictability.
Like maybe just...
I feel like also having something be predictable, like in the case of like a movie like a horror film, especially, it's predictable, and then suddenly it's not predictable. That I feel like really works.
Yeah, that.
That's because you think you know where you're
going.
False sense of security, exactly.
You think you know exactly what's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. You're like, well, shit.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just not something you think about too often, especially in a horror movie when you're just like, yeah. Oh, there's the jock, and he's gonna sleep with the girl. Oh,
and one movie. Have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
Yeah, of course you have. Have you seen it?
I have not.
That's a great one that really takes those tropes and just flips them.
You will absolutely love that.
You
movie.
would love that movie. You
Really?
would love that movie.
Oh man, sounds like I got one on my
I
list.
can't tell you anything about it. Just watch it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Just watch it. And
It's actually, I don't know, the viewers probably don't know this about Mike, but like I can tell whenever I watch anything, like almost right away, I'm like, Mike will absolutely love this.
And I don't think you've ever been wrong about that so far. Anything you've recommended to me, I've loved.
There'll be a couple times where like there'll be something I don't think you like, and like you like that, but no, I can definitely tell when you will definitely like something.
I mean, I call a good bit of Tokyo Gore Police when we were watching
Oh
that.
my god. Did I put that on my list? I don't remember.
It sounds familiar, and I've never heard
Really?
of it.
You never watched
I've
it?
never watched it or.
Oh my god.
But
That might have to be a
sounds
special
familiar.
later.
Yeah, that's another one. That's good. It's funny. It's so bizarre and out there. Yeah.
Alright, so I guess we should roll up this machine again. Maybe see what we're watching next week.
It is. I hope I made the switch. I think I did, but
We you can always put it in later if we.
Yeah,
if
we
we
can
get
always
some
put it
notes
in.
later. And then we'll talk about it next week.
Let's.
All right.
all right, let's roll and see what we get. Cool. Something off my bad list because the thing likes me, and I don't even know what this is. Just to
Are
let
you
you
sure
know.
you don't want to change the format?
So
Wait,
guys,
wait,
just
wait,
let.
wait, wait, wait. You
Uh,
don't know what Escaflowne is?
No, I don't know what this is. This was something that was on the list of animes that were showing at Anime Next. I did not see. I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna put up my bad list and let it go. And yeah,
Are you familiar?
it's funny. So
I
for
think
those of you that
so.
don't
Hold on
know,
a second.
it landed on something on my list again. So once again, the computer's favoring me because this would be my fifth one, just from me at this point.
Might as well just rename it the Mike Cast.
For some reason, the dice are flowing in my favor. I gotta really revamp some of that list.
So so you said you saw this at Anime Next?
Oh, it was on the list of things that were showing at Anime Next. I never
Okay,
even
you
saw
never
it.
saw.
So I was like, ooh, this is gonna be terrible.
Are you familiar with the premise?
They
or-
were showing so
So
many
I'm
garbage.
guessing this is the series, not the movie? Or
I put everything was a series at that point.
okay, so we'll watch the episodes of that then. For those of you who don't know, this is an anime.
Yes, it's an anime I've
It's
even
called
never seen.
Escaflowne. It's actually really well known. Like it's a classic. I have heard of it. I haven't watched it. It's like a old romancy mech kind of deal.
Romance Mech.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they don't romance the mech.
That would be funny.
I'm thinking like flying sex robots. It's a mech robot.
Don't get too excited. It's nothing that ambitious.
No, this is probably it's gonna be a well-known shit show to a small extent. It's not gonna be like it's not gonna be Queen of Blood.
I'm surprised it's on your bad list because from what I think I remember, don't hold me against this, anyone who knows better, but I think it's like well known for being good.
Okay, remember, I know nothing about this. It was on the list. I went, and like I put it on there. So this is also with anime.
At the same
Anime goes very wrong, very easy. So I figured it would be safe being on there.
At the same time, I feel like if it's like romance geared, I get the sense that that's not really what you're big into.
No,
from-
like I said,
from
I've never
stuff.
seen
I
this.
think it makes sense if it's on if it's
Oh, okay.
that much romance.
That's
It
what-
makes
Oh,
total
my
sense
bad
to
list,
be
'cause
on
I'm
Mike's
not-
bad
yeah.
list.
No, I'm not. I actually hate when any movie has romance in it because a lot of times it draws away from the plot unless it
Unless
was
it's
a very
you know,
incorporate part of the
I'm
plot.
about to say we might have to sit down and watch When Harry Met Sally, and you'll change your argument.
No, I'm just but what I'm trying to hit at is like I said with Pacific Rim, that romance was completely unnecessary.
yeah, like a lot of times it kind of gets shoehorned in.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
to appeal to a broader audience.
Exactly, and I
Let's
don't
look
want
at
that.
women to like our movie.
I love it when films just stay away from it if it's not necessary to the plot.
Gotcha.
So, all right.
Why is it always you?
Yeah, this will be what? This is a
What did
selection of mine number
we did-
5.
5 or 6. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm a
It's
little
been-
salty.
Which we did modify the list so that it spits out a random one from each of our lists as well. Would you like to know what it could have been?
Yeah, sure. Let's just roll it one more time. This isn't what it's gonna be, but I'm curious.
What it was.
I swear to God, if it's me again.
It got all bad stuff, which is not often does it actually get bad stuff.
And we'll hit the roll again.
Should we take in the program?
Something
should we-
Phantom Memory is what it landed on for you.
Oh God.
Am I on the wrong page?
Don't worry, we'll work these kinks out.
What
Oh,
if it's Brothers
God.
Conflict?
Oh no, not brother conflict. All right. Well, at least there's hope.
Yeah, at least it lands on you sometimes. Just
Just
not when we're
just
rolling
not
for
when it
real.
matters.
That's not what it matters.
All right, guys. We will talk to you again when
next
we're
week.
watching Escaflowne.
And I think it's going to be more in your favor next time.
But don't forget, guys, you can suggest stuff to us via email, the102cast@gmail.com.
Oh
You can
yeah,
comment
do it.
and like our Facebook page.
Or you can subscribe to us and leave a comment on iTunes and
Even
rate
better.
us. And if you do that, we'll read your comment here
We will,
on the podcast.
even if it's raunchy.
Oh,
Oh God, can you imagine what it's gonna be now? That'd be hysterical.
yeah, it's like, man, I was having a real bad day. I was having some sad poops while listening to your podcast.
Sad poops.
And just made my day better. All right, guys.
Boo hoo poo poo.
Have a good one.
See yas.
Bye.